Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. My firm pays for a one-week trip to Hawaii for associates every year, flight plus condo paid for. I've gone 3 times now, and it's amazing. It's definitely the best perk at my workplace. This year, though, it's obviously not available. The firm pays for 2 people. I don't have a significant other, so sometimes I will just take a friend or family member with me. The first year, I went with my mom. The second year, I went with my dad. And the third year, I went with a friend. Last summer, my brother and sister-in-law got married. When they were wedding planning, they asked if they could use my work-paid vacation for their honeymoon. Their plan was for both of their flights to be paid for by my work, and my sister-in-law would fly under my name, and then they'd both use the company condo. I'm very sure that wouldn't be allowed, since the benefit is for the mental health of associates, not their family's honeymoon. Their other plan was for me to book my vacation during their honeymoon, take one of them with me as my guest. The other one would pay for their own ticket, and then both of them would live in the condo, and I'd have to pay to stay in a hotel myself. My brother said that since I took my mom and dad before, it was his turn now. They also said that I'd easily afford to pay for a hotel my own vacation that year, but they wouldn't be able to. I said no, because I get very few vacation days, and I didn't want to use them up like that. I get 15 days PTO, but trying to take a day off is so difficult in my line of work, especially consecutive days off. This would eat up 7 days of my PTO, even though I wouldn't even want to go at that time, and I'd just be mucking around. I'd have to plan one of my very rare vacations around them, plus pay out of pocket for something that originally could have been free. I'm also certain my firm would frown upon me using work benefits this way. Plus, this may set a precedent for their future special occasions. I don't want this turning into a permanent thing. They were furious and threatened to uninvite me from their wedding, but they didn't go through with it. They started saving up to go to Hawaii as a belated honeymoon and had booked a trip this summer, but was COVID canceled. Now they're directing their anger back at me, saying that if I had just helped them out to begin with, they wouldn't be in this position, and that I should let them use my benefit whenever they're allowed to travel again. Also, before anyone asks, I don't have a good relationship with my brother. I don't think they're the worst human beings alive, but I don't like being around them. We have a lot of serious political disagreements. He's always trying to get money from me. When I was struggling, he had a "that's your problem" attitude and never once went out of his way to help me. That's why I don't feel inclined to do this favor for them. He thinks I'm an a-hole, but my mom is suggesting I just concede for 1 year to smooth things over. Am I the a-hole? OP should not feel bad. OP's work gives her this vacation option. It is because she works a stressful, demanding, competitive job. She has stayed at that job for years. So I think I can safely assume that she is good at it. She earned it. When it comes to weddings and honeymoons, I think that the bride and groom should plan for what they personally can afford and treat any offerings of money or assistance like a beautiful gift. Also, OP would probably be fired if she agreed with her brother's plan, as I'm sure the company would consider it benefit fraud. And OP's brother and sister-in-law would say, "That's your problem." Obligatory, this happened a year ago. We had a small destination wedding in Hawaii, and initially neither of us wanted his mother there. I find her very rude and attention-seeking, and dear husband and her have a horrible relationship. To the point, if his dad died tomorrow, I don't think they would ever see each other again. Father-in-law refused to attend without mother-in-law, so we ended up inviting her, but we decided not to tell her about the wedding until she arrived, so she would have less time to act out, or think about not being the center of attention and work herself up. It was framed like a family vacation, and father-in-law and both sister-in-laws agreed to keep the secret. My sister-in-laws were in charge of making an excuse and making sure she had an appropriate dress. Up until this point, I had a very good relationship with both of them. The older sister-in-law decided it would be funny to trick her mother into wearing a wedding dress. It was not technically a bridal dress, but it was full-length, white, and lacy, and this was a casual wedding to begin with. She claims the prank was on mother-in-law and not me, but mother-in-law was embarrassed for maybe 10 minutes and then rocked it. Also, and I know this is petty, mother-in-law is very attractive and does not look her age. I wasn't happy with my hair at the time, too short, and she has beautiful wavy hair. So I'm sure some people mistook her for the bride. People were talking about it, but she has the personality to go along and have fun with it. I was left feeling unattractive and second best. This completely altered my relationships with father-in-law. He was with her when she arrived, and both of my sister-in-laws. My husband understands, though it hurts him, because he is so close to his older sister. Recently, sister-in-law apologized sincerely and asked if she could have a second chance. I said I'm not interested in being close because she ruined my wedding. Father-in-law tried to make a joke about it's no one's fault. His wife is just that beautiful, but obviously didn't go over well. My husband asked if I could just try to forgive them, but I was honest and said I don't want to forgive them, and I'm not willing to work on it. OP is not an a-hole. Sister-in-law is a big one. That wasn't a prank. It was a cruel stunt to pull on a bride. Even if it was passed off as a prank on mother-in-law, the result was a bride feeling upstaged at her wedding. I'd never forgive them personally, and I see no reason for OP to put herself out there to be hurt by her sister-in-laws again in the future. OP's husband can maintain whatever relationship he pleases with his sisters, but he doesn't have to involve OP. I, 34 male, met my ex-fiance 6 years ago. I was 28 and she was 36. My ex had a daughter, Kayla, who was 18 around the time we started dating, only didn't meet her until a year later. She disapproved, and I get why, given that I was only 10 years older than her. Obviously, I didn't want a stepfather role, and I made sure she knew that. Just wanted us to acknowledge each other as two people who love her mom very much, and to respect one another. Kayla still hated my guts, and she never held back giving me attitude or even calling her mom a cougar. My ex told me her daughter was in therapy and never liked anyone she dated since she and her ex-husband divorced when Kayla was 7. Things never improved. My ex and I eventually moved in with each other to a new apartment. She insisted on Kayla also moving in with us since she was in college and didn't want her to spend so much on rent. I had no problem with that. Still, Kayla never respected me as her mom's partner. Sometimes things of mine would go missing or I'd find them destroyed. Like a new watch my ex got me for my birthday. She threw a literal fit when we got engaged. The morning after my car got keyed, and I could only guess who it was since the place we lived had a private garage only we had access to. This just caused too many conflicts between my fiance and I since she wouldn't do anything to put Kayla in line. We broke things off 3 years ago and went about my life. It hurt, but in the end, it became too much. I found out on Facebook that my ex-fiance passed from COVID 9 months ago. Now, Kayla wants to get in touch for us to meet. She sent an apology message last month, and she's asking for us to meet up for coffee. Kayla says she wants us to become friends, since I was so close to her mom too, and would like help with what she's dealing with. I thanked her for the apology, but said I don't have an interest in us meeting up. I closed that chapter in my life for a reason, and it would be better to leave this in the past. I'm glad she apologized and acknowledged what she did, but she can understand why I don't want her in my life anymore. For a while, Kayla messaged me a few times, but I stopped replying after giving my final answer. Then my ex's mom also messaged me because Kayla is upset and asked her to talk to me. I gave the same answer, which made her very mad. She says Kayla is a child who needs comfort, and she can't believe I'm going to turn my back on her. The lady can't give Kayla the same comfort because she lives in a different country and I'm the closest thing Kayla has to my ex since I'm so much closer and we can actually meet up regularly. Haven't replied to either of their messages, but I still read them when they come in. I want to remain firm in keeping Kayla out of my life after everything. But given that she lost her mom, am I being an a-hole because I don't want to give her this support? OP is not an a-hole. If Kayla was 18 years old 6 years ago, that means she is 24 years old now and not a child. She has no relationship with OP, and OP doesn't owe her anything. It's nice OP accepted her apology. It was more than OP had to do. I have a stepson, Tristan, who I don't see often. I came into the picture when he was 11, and he never accepted me. Despite this, I have always done my best to treat him with kindness and respect. Tristan was very close to his grandmother, my mother-in-law, who was a just-no mother-in-law from the start. She was nasty, passive-aggressive, didn't like me for random reasons, and tried to exclude me from the family. It got to the point that she was told if she could not respect me, she could not see Tristan. Mother-in-law didn't take it seriously at first, but came around after a few months of no contact. Tristan has never forgiven me for this. He has always been cool towards his younger siblings, and when he turned 18, he moved out and went no contact with his dad for his first year of college. The day Tristan turned 18 is the real issue. Mother-in-law showed up at like 8 a.m., banged on the door, and said it was finally the day she has been waiting for. She hates me, she doesn't want to see her son again, and she can finally say it. She was almost manic, telling me how much she hated me. She admitted she had only been nice because Tristan begged her to. Tristan came down with his bags packed and left with her. He spent the summer with her and she paid for his college. Tristan is 28 now and getting married. He is reconciled with his dad and I see him a couple times a year. Neither of us have seen mother-in-law since that day, but she is still very close to Tristan and has been very involved with the wedding. Tristan told me that he has no problem respecting me, because he isn't someone who looks for drama, but that I tried to take his family away, and that isn't something he will ever forget. I don't want to go to the wedding because I don't want to see mother-in-law. I have a lot of bad feelings towards her, and honestly, towards Tristan. Also, he did not invite his siblings, so it would be an extra hassle to find a babysitter. My husband is very hurt that I said I'm not going, because he doesn't know many people there, except mother-in-law and stepfather-in-law, who he has no contact with. He said I should suck it up for him. I really don't want to be in a room with that woman. Edit. I met my husband through friends. The bio mom had been out of the picture almost since birth, and mother-in-law didn't have any particular attachment to her either. She didn't like that I brought changes into the family, and suddenly she didn't have free rein to make decisions for Tristan. She doesn't like many people and is very difficult and antisocial, and just didn't want to change anything about her life or accommodate a new person. She is anti-step-parent and thought I needed to stay in my lane and not have any opinions. She said a lot of rude and inappropriate things, which everyone laughed off, but I called out. I wanted to cut back on her having him every other weekend because I thought we needed time to bond as a family. And because she spoiled him so, when he was home, he was always bored because we couldn't do something huge every weekend. That one I didn't get my way on. I tried to give him more rules and structure, which he obviously didn't like. But mother-in-law took very personally because she had like 5 step-parents and doesn't respect the role. Mother-in-law's dad always told her to ignore his wives, and they weren't her family, and she took that to heart. I did make a rule about she couldn't take him out on school nights because she was affecting his sleep. She says mean things and says she is just joking. She made fun of my clothes. She made jokes about how I probably want to die because I am an accountant. She made weird jokes and swore way too much in front of Tristan. Her husband always had offensive music playing, mostly Eminem, and if you didn't like something, she got mad at you for being too sensitive. No wonder she didn't like OP from the start. That boy was 12 and not OP's. You don't get to come in and unilaterally start making all those changes. The boy's father obviously had no problems with any of those things, or they wouldn't have been happening in the first place. And OP would have already mentioned how on board he was, or even alluded remotely to him having placed these boundaries with his family. Yes, the step-parent should be respected, but you don't get to storm in and demand he accept you as his mother and dictator. It sounds like OP started out with zero respect for any of them, and overstepped by a few miles. I don't know how OP could possibly be shocked that she, trying to force herself on him and them out of the gate and taking away his visits with his grandparents, and deciding by herself what's appropriate or not for a kid that's not even hers, didn't work out well.